What if I told you there's a 3,000-mile water highway running right through your backyard and most people have no idea it's there? It's not the ocean, it's not a river, and it connects everything from Massachusetts all the way down to Texas border. And here on Florida's Space Coast, it runs between rocket launch pads and one of the most biodiverse ecosystems in North America. This is the Intracoastal Waterway, and this is why it matters right here. Hey, I'm Carrie Leota. I'm a Space Coast Realtor, and I've lived and worked in Brevard County long enough to know that this place is genuinely unlike anywhere else in Florida. I make these videos for two kinds of people: the locals who already know how special the area is, and the people who are thinking about moving here and want the real picture. If you're either one of those people, I want you to scan the QR code right now. That'll take you to my private Facebook group. It's called Moving to Brevard County, Florida, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Locals, newcomers, people mid-move, people still deciding. Real questions, real answers, real community. Scan it and join us. Now, let's start from the top. The Intracoastal Waterway, or the ICW, is a 3,000-mile inland waterway that runs along the Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico coasts of the United States of America. It starts in Massachusetts, traces down the entire eastern seaboard south, rounding the tip of Florida, then follows the Gulf Coast all the way to Brownsville, Texas. Some stretches are completely natural. Tidal rivers, bays, estuaries that have existed for thousands of years. Other sections are man-made canals that engineers dug specifically to connect those natural waterways into one continuous route. The idea was simple: give boats a protected path along the coast so they don't have to cut in and out to the open ocean. The concept goes back to 1808, but it took a crisis to make it real. During World War II, German submarines were sinking American cargo ships right off the East Coast, in plain view of the shore in some cases. The U.S. needed a protected route to move fuel, food, and supplies. By 1942, most of the Atlantic Intracoastal Waterway was complete. Today, the ICW is maintained by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and runs at a minimum depth of 12 feet for most of its length. On nautical charts, it's marked by a magenta line, which is actually what boaters call it, the magenta line. If you follow the magenta line from New England, it will bring you right to Brevard County at roughly mile marker 900. Florida's relationship with the ICW is different from every other state it passes through. Elsewhere, the waterway generally hugs a narrow barrier strip between the mainland and the ocean. But when it reaches Brevard County, the Space Coast, something changes. The coastal topography opens up. A broad peninsula pushes into the Atlantic, forming Cape Canaveral, and the ICW waters divide around a large island, Merritt Island, creating two separate bodies of water: the Indian River Lagoon on the mainland side and the Banana River to the east. Here's the thing most people get wrong about this area. The Indian River and the Banana River are not actual rivers. They never were. They're lagoons, shallow, brackish estuaries that get their water from a mix of ocean inlets and mainland runoff. The names stuck from early explorers who didn't fully understand what they were looking at. What they were actually looking at was something extraordinary. The Indian River Lagoon system, which includes the Banana River and Mosquito Lagoon to the north, stretches 156 miles along Florida's east coast and covers the entire 72-mile length of Brevard County. And it's not just big. It's been designated one of the most biologically diverse estuaries in all of North America. 665 species of fish, 370 species of birds, 2,200 animal species. The beaches along this lagoon attract some of the highest number of nesting sea turtles in the entire Western Hemisphere. The lagoon sits directly on the Atlantic Flyway, one of the major migration highways for the birds in the Americas. People call it the cradle of the ocean, and that name earns its weight. The mix of fresh and salt water creates a protected nursery where juvenile fish, baby sea turtles, shrimp, and crabs can grow up in the seagrass beds and mangrove roots sheltered from the open ocean until they're big enough to survive out there. You can paddle through this from a kayak, you can fish it from a flats boat, you can watch manatees surface 10 feet from your dock. This is the ICW on the Space Coast, not just a navigation channel, but one of the most ecological, important stretches of the water in the country. Here's what makes this place completely unlike any other stretch of the ICW anywhere. The northern section of the Banana River, right alongside Kennedy Space Center, is designated a no-motor zone. Over 10,000 acres of protected water where powerboats aren't allowed. The NASA Causeway forms the northern boundary of this preserve, and what you get inside the zone is something wild. One of the most pristine, undisturbed stretches of the entire lagoon system, kept that way partly because the rocket launch is next door. There's a deeper history here too. Banana Creek, which once wove through what is now Kennedy Space Center, originally connected the Indian River Lagoon to the Banana River. It made Merritt Island an actual island. Fill was laid down to create the Crawlerway, the gravel road that rolls the massive rockets from the vehicle assembly building to the launch pads. The space race literally reshaped the waterway. Today, the best free rocket launch viewing on the entire Space Coast is from the water. Kelly Park east on the Banana River, Kiwanis Island, the Indian River shoreline, you can watch a Falcon 9 leave the planet from a boat on the ICW. There is nowhere else on Earth where you can do that. And then there's this. Every summer, roughly June through October, the waters of the ICW here do something that looks like it belongs in a science fiction film. The Mosquito Lagoon, the Banana River, and the Indian River Lagoon come alive with bioluminescence. Microscopic organisms called dinoflagellates light up electric blue when the water's disturbed. Every paddle stroke, every fish darting past, every hand dip in the water leaves a trail of light. Because the Space Coast is less developed than much of Florida's coastline, there's less light pollution, less water pollution. The conditions here are nearly perfect. Guided kayak tours run all summer, and the experience is, there's really no other word for it. You're paddling the same water that spawned generations of sea turtles, and it's glowing. Zoom out one more time, and the ICW tells another story, a human one. Every fall, a small migration happens on this waterway. Thousands of boats, trawlers, sailboats, catamarans make their way south from New England and the Chesapeake. Following the magenta line towards warmer water, they're called snowbirds. They pass through Brevard County right around mile marker 900, heading for the South Florida, the Keys, the Bahamas. Some of them slow down here, some of them stop, and a few of them never leave. Because when you arrive at the place where you can watch a rocket launch from your cockpit, kayak through glowing water at night, and wake up to dolphins in the morning, you start to understand why people choose to live on this waterway. The ICW isn't just a channel on a chart. It's a way of life, and on the Space Coast, it's unlike anywhere else on the planet. One of the most unique places you can live in this entire country. If this is the kind of thing you want to know before you move here, or if you just love where you live and want to share it, come find us. Scan the QR code on the screen and join Moving to Brevard County, Florida private Facebook group. Locals and future locals, all in one place. Ask your questions, share what you know, and be a part of the conversation. I'll see you in the next video.